Welcome to CWC Art and Soul with Catherine Whalen-Costin. Today we're talking art. We're talking social media, we're talking AI, we're talking why does art matter, or does it? And how it influences you in your life and whether you've noticed. Plus, some scam energy in the artist world. We're going to talk about all that and a whole lot more. Stay with me. Welcome to CWC Art and Soul with Catherine. I am Catherine Whalen-Costin, also known as Clarity Whisperer. I am the host and producer of the shows, a series of deep exploration into higher visions, better ways to live on planet Earth, new insights that may help us move beyond the old ways and into new, more harmonious systems that empower all, not just some. What if it isn't a choice between black or white? What if we can choose from a color palette far beyond what has been explored before? What if? So many possibilities. No medical advice is offered on any podcast on this channel. If you require medical assistance, please contact your healthcare practitioner. So let's get into this right now. So this was not the podcast I was planning for 2023, New Year, January. However, it is something I have been contemplating for some time. I took a small break from social media, just step back for a bit and from the noise of the, let's say, the algorithm of fear and hate and worry that gets promoted so much, and really take a look at my world. Is my world the same as the one being reflected via social media? And of course, I'm sure to no surprise to most of you, it is not. My world is peace and harmony and creativity and joy and laughter and focusing on the wonders of this planet. So art is... it's an interesting topic, and the reason I say, is it important or not to us? If you look at this planet without humans, just look at the planet itself, the visual, the feeling, it's art, the colors, the hues, the subtleties, the way we feel when looking at it. If you're a human walking on this planet, you can feel the vibration, and art is vibration. What I discovered when I started to think about art in the grander concept was that it's everything. Art is creativity. When they call it the art of something, what are they talking about? They're talking about nuances, unique ways of doing things. Whether it's the art of business, the art of politics, the art of cooking, it's all the difference between a mechanical application and a inspired human interaction, or nature for that matter. That's the art. The art of doing something in a very unique way that no one else can do. There's an art in that. So whether it's painting, dance, music, writing, like I said, cooking, baking, the way we parent, the way we manage relationship, it's all art. And so I find it interesting, if you think about it, when historically, now I'm not talking specifics, so please know that I'm talking generalities to create a little bit more thought-provoking way of looking at the culture that we live in the West. So I'm not intimately familiar with Eastern culture as much as I am with the West, because that's where I grew up and that's the history that I have. But when I look at historically, there's been a lot of discouraging people from making a career in the arts, an education system that often cuts arts when they want to save money. They cut dance, music, band, and creativity. And we know that when we are using our hand to create, even in writing, there's a connection between the mind, the spirit, and what comes out on the paper. I mean, if you're looking at it from a metaphysical point of view, look at automatic writing. What's going on there? It's inspired. It's inspired writing. If you look at hieroglyphics from ancient times, humans love to create and co-create with spirit, with other humans, with nature. It's in us. It's part of our way of expressing. It is communication. Art is communication. And whether you are a collector of different artists' work or different musicians' work, it's all around us. If you don't have any art on the walls in your home is still based on art. It's designed. The design itself is art. Whether that design is appealing or not is another story. And it really does have to do with the individual. What is appealing to you may not be to someone else. And it's interesting because I was listening to a YouTube video of someone who was looking at what makes your home look cheap or what makes it look expensive. And one of the things was their opinion about different forms of art or different pieces of furniture or whatever you had in your home. The important part of that is that it was an opinion. It was a perception. What that person thought represented cheap or expensive. And it's interesting because what is the messaging there? Your home is your home. There used to be a saying, the home is a person's castle, sanctuary from the world. So when you think about that, how does your home reflect you? And does it provide sanctuary from a busy world, or are you bringing the world into your home? Because it is co-creation, whether you're doing it consciously or not. Art has always held a sort of a love-hate place in the world. People have opinions on it because it creates when you look at a piece of art, it gives the individual a vibration which creates a feeling, or an emotion that creates a feeling. You look at something that is not your taste, let's say, and you may feel blah. You may feel nothing. You may feel like, that doesn't do anything for me. You hear people say that doesn't do anything for me. So there's movement there. It does something or it doesn't do anything. I feel enlivened. I feel joy when I look at that piece of art, or I don't. It's that sense of connection and communication that we're experiencing. And communication is vibration, sound. When you're out in nature, it isn't simply the sounds, whether you hear a bird or you hear crickets or you hear the wind rustling on the leaves. There's more. There's more than just sound. It's a physical connection. It's a communication. It's an interaction. It's an exchange of energy between us and our world. So what we do with the things that we love, how we value the things that we love, is really important. And you can see throughout history where art, and when I say that, I'm meaning visual art, whether contemporary or modern or traditional, has always had a place and always a message. And the message is from the artist. It's the artist's voice. Whether it's abstract or whether it's portraiture or whatever it is, political movements have used art to communicate and also censored art to deny the voice of certain people. And it's the same with music. It's the same with movies. All of those things are forms of art. Dance. You can watch a dancer without hearing the music and still pick up on a communication. And it's everything. If you think about it, it's everything. Art is actually our form of communication with the world. From the things that you wear on your body, the clothing you choose to wear, whether you wear makeup, the way you style your hair, it's all design, it's all messaging, it's communication. When you put on a lovely piece of clothing that feels it, you feel it. Now, you can be given, let's say you're a woman and you're going to a fancy affair and someone says, I have a dress that's perfect for you. It's gorgeous, it's glamorous, it's everything. And you put that dress on without looking in the mirror even. You will feel whether it feels elegant, glamorous, the way you want to feel. You can feel it. You can feel the fabric on your skin. You can feel the energy of that item, where it was made, who made it, how it was made, the materials it's made from, and how that connects to your body. It's communicating. It's communicating. And your body's communicating with you by saying, I don't like this, or, oh, this feels great. Then you see the visual. You look in the mirror and you see, how does it actually look to you, not to the people around you. And you can see people wearing clothing that does not suit them. It doesn't match with how they feel. And they can present themselves, although attempting to present themselves in a very confident way, but ultimately they look very uncomfortable. And why is that? Certain colors, certain fabrics, certain composition, design is going to suit different people in a different way. And that's important to notice, because we talk a lot about our human health, but there's not a lot of talk about how that our environment is playing into that. And art is part of that. Art, design, even if you're a business person and you pick up your pen, there's a weight to your pen. There's a design and the way it fits in your hand. That's art. Your hairbrush, simple thing you do in the morning, or your toothbrush. How does it feel in your hand? How does it feel when you use it? It's all about design. And sometimes we get messaging that, this particular thing is going to make you feel this way. But it does or doesn't. Because when a person is trying to sell you something that is mass marketed, let's say, they're talking to a wide audience. And you uniquely are the only one who knows whether or not that particular design, the colors, the hues, the fabric, the whatever it is, the chair you're sitting on, is going to be comfortable to your body. When you think about how you present yourself to the world, are you presenting your authentic self, or are you presenting a marketed idea of who you should be as opposed to who you really are? And I think it's really interesting that we have so much thrown at us that is designed in a way to actually make us feel fearful of each other. And it is design. It's an art. It's an art form. Everything is an art form. And just think of a piece of music that makes you feel joyful, empowered, filled with enthusiasm for life. Whereas another piece of music may actually grate on you. You think it feels like nails on a chalkboard. And it's still art. So I wanted to bring this subject up because there is so much going on in our world, and communication is absolutely key. We're human, and we need to communicate, and we communicate through our voice, which is also art, the tone of our voice, the cadence, the enunciation, the pronunciation, the emotion in our voices. And a lot of our social media does not provide that. It's typed, so it's not even handwritten. If I was looking at a message from someone, much like is shown on social media today, and it was handwritten, I would see emotion. I would be able to pick up on the energy behind that message. Whereas typed, even with emojis, which is an art form, we know humans need that facial recognition of emotions. If I'm talking to someone, I'm in the same room with them, I can pick up on their body language. I can pick up on their expression, their tone, whether they're being sarcastic or serious or lighthearted or mean. I can pick up on that. But we can't do that in our written characters on social media that are typed. A handwritten letter can share emotion or the holding back of emotion. You can tell the difference. Something I've written years ago and something I've written today in my own handwriting will have a different emotion and a different energy in it. And depending on what I'm writing about, how passionate I am, how I feel about it, what I'm trying to express. And I never needed emojis to share. But today, we are using those forms to communicate. And it's just something to think about. I'm not saying it's right, it's wrong. It's really about choices. What are we choosing? And an interesting concept about this that comes up is this thing about AI, artificial intelligence. And do we really want our world fully dependent on robots? What does that say about the human species? Years ago, we were told, when I was a kid growing up, every home would have a computer. We thought that was hilarious. At that time, the telephone was still attached to the wall. And most homes had one phone. If there was an extension, it was rare. Many had party lines, so your neighbor could pick up the phone and listen. And that also is kind of humorous to me today, because we're hearing about people concerned about other people recording them or hearing them, their communications on their phones or on their computers. But the thing is, we've always had that. We've always had people who were willing to gossip or listen to our private affairs. It was just in a different form. A party line, the phone rang, you knew it was not for you. There was a code to the way that the phone rang. 2 rings was your house, 3 rings someone else's, and so forth. And there might be several people, several homes on that party line. And the code was to tell you not to pick up the phone because it wasn't for you. It wasn't calling your home. But people did. Telephone operators did. And telephone operators relayed information to the police. So this isn't new, this idea of being spied on or being people sharing your private affairs. So let's get that clear. This is not new. What's new is how many people can hear at the gossip. And some people think gossip is a good thing. I don't. I think generally gossip is one of those things that is meant to do harm, to destroy a person's reputation, or, as they say, bring them down off their high horse because someone else thinks that they're too successful, too accomplished in whatever field they're in, too whatever it is, too much. And it's just a form of communication that is used against other people. But AI is a way of taking it to a whole new level, and it's a matter of how do we want our human experience to be? When we were told, computer in every home, we were also told other things. Computers would be doing everything for us, and we would have more time, more leisure time. And we do have computers in every house now, and we have them in our back pockets on our phones. And we are not having more leisure time. We are not having better lives in many ways. We have more use of the food banks. We have more poverty. We have more people living on the street than it was ever when I was a kid. We have more domestic violence. We have more violence overall, violence in our language. Having robots do things for us, to me, is counterproductive to the human experience. Why are we here? Why did we come to this planet? This beautiful, life-giving planet. If it can be run by robots, then what is our purpose? These are big questions to consider. And when I look at art in connection to that, I know from my own experience now as an artist with acrylic art that is similar to when I was not called myself an artist, but a baker. And my baking and the food I cooked and the way I did it made a significant energy shift in the products I was putting together so that the person consuming it felt that love. And I know they felt it because it's the difference between buying a pie, for instance, from a supermarket that has been mass-produced somewhere else, frozen, brought to you, maybe it's cooked, or maybe you cook it when you bring it home. The taste of that, it isn't just about the ingredients. Yes, they probably use certain preservatives in it to keep it so that they can transport it, they can store it, they can, present it that way. But regardless of whether those preservatives are in it, because some of the ingredients that I'm going to use in my home probably has some preservatives in it in the raw material. However, it is the love that goes into it, the energy that goes into it when I'm creating it, when I'm serving it to someone else. And that's the same as my art. I'm using all similar ingredients to painters from forever, as long as there's been acrylic paint, of course, because, acrylic is kind of a form of plastic, so that wouldn't have been forever. But my art is not like anyone else's. My art is inspired, is my connection, my communication with spirit coming through me onto the canvas. And I can tell you right now the difference between if I try to create a piece of art in a specific way from my mind. If I try to create that piece of art by using my mind only, and my mind, the thing about the mind is it only has reference from this human experience, from whatever I've experienced. That's where my imagination can go, is to something I've seen before. I have a reference point. I might be able to manipulate it a bit. I might be able to, take pieces from here and there and create something. That would be my imagination. When I let go, as they say, and let God, when I'm painting and I say, I have the canvas in front of me, the blank white canvas. Now, chances are you wouldn't be buying that from me. You would go to an art store and buy your own white blank canvas. So all of that white is potential. It's waiting for me to bring the form onto the canvas and to manipulate the art, to communicate, to allow spirit to work through my hands onto that canvas and create something that I didn't have a reference for. And that's the key. I would say that all of my art is that. It's something it didn't exist and I didn't imagine it. I considered, these are certain colors I'd like to use, this feels good to me, this kind of thing. But once I let go and start to actually paint, things happen. That's when the magic happens. That's when the inspiration flows. And that's why no one can reproduce my art. That's why it's original. And even I cannot reproduce a piece of art that I've already done. I can try to do something similar, but I can't actually reproduce it. And that's the reason that I think art is so important. It's not only the voice of the artist, the communication from the artist. It is the communication, the connection to spirit, the source, the one that made us, made the planet, made all that is, the universe, whatever you want to call it. That communication is life force. And that is, when you look at a human being and they are in their mind, in their ego, you can see that energy. You can feel it. Different than the energy when someone is connected to source, connected to spirit. Like the earth, being connected to both spirit and the earth, in this world, not of this world. Creating with the raw materials that are the earth to enhance something that wasn't before. A new creation, something that didn't exist before, that has a life force. And art has life force. It has vibration. So does music. The notes, the space between the notes. Listen to the bird song. Listen to a human voice. Listen to a baby's cry. And the different tones that help you to know what is that baby communicating. Even before they have words, we can know what this child is they're in pain, or they're happy, or they're confused, or they're tired. We know that from the little sounds. And it's the same with writing, handwriting, as opposed to typing. When you are typing, you have to use a lot more words to attempt to share what you're really thinking, feeling about a certain thing. Whereas art, just take a look at all of the marketing. It's art. It's just a matter of how do you feel. I mean, people spend years learning that art. And so when children are little and they say they want to grow up to be an artist or a dancer or a writer, why do we discourage that? And I mean that by collectively. Why is that? Oh, we have all kinds of stereotypes and slurs to diminish those careers, those passive life vocations, even we call them sometimes, because we don't want to think that that's a legitimate way to earn, I say that in air quotes, a living, except that we're all doing it. It's a matter of where's our focus. Whether you're creating a home or designing an office building, it's art. It's taking into consideration all kinds of energies and how do we want people to feel when they walk into that building? Do we want it to feel cold and sterile? Sometimes it is intended that way. The lighting, the feeling, and everything has that potential. It's the way it's arranged. It's the way that it is, the signage. You don't need to have a lot of words to see a sign and know what it means. You don't need actual letters, although letters are a form of art. You know, the difference between Roman numerals and Arabic. What we use on our typewriter as what we use in our cursive writing or print, even hand printing, is different than typewriter. The energy, the emotion, the way that we can convey a message. And we need to communicate. It seems that that is part of our civilization, is our ability to communicate. And in many ways, I see the drama happening on the world stage, which is just that, it's drama. And so why is drama not encouraged in schools? Why do we have actual many schools have debate clubs teaching children how to debate? Why don't we have discussion clubs where we teach people nonviolent communication? Why have we diminished the human communicative skill to be a debate, violence, competition in that way, when what we clearly need is collaboration, communication, cooperation? And that's where we connect. And that's what I think art is, that vehicle to help us to bridge that gap between humans and between spirit and the physical world, so that it's like a bridge. I really wanted you to think about that and to think about the things that, like my fashions, are created by me. They're designed by me. I take a piece of art and I look at a specific kind of template of say a dress, and how I want that piece of art to flow on that dress or that kimono or whatever it is, knowing that when a person wears it, how they're going to feel and how it's going to look when they move, and the movement of it. That's art. Art in motion, fluid and powerful, and how it's going to feel. And I searched a very long time before I found a company I could work with that was in Canada, that was not a sweatshop, that was using ethically sourced materials and had a really high quality to the garments. And I found them with Le Galeriste in Montreal, Canada. And it was an answer to my prayer, really, because I didn't want to, I don't want to mass produce hundreds and thousands of the same item and have them thrown in the garbage later. I want a high quality that people can communicate with, can get a feeling when they wear it that they know it's well made. It wasn't made by a child in a bad situation. And that the people making it, everyone involved, is earning a living from creating that garment, including me, from my art. And that brings me to the other part of this conversation, which I think is important. It confirms, and part of the reason I decided to do this podcast today is because when you think about art and whether it's important, and after all that I've said, think about why it is censored, why it is stolen, why people try to forge, to try to duplicate someone's art. Why does that happen if it's not important? Why do people steal people's music and try to sell it as their own? And this is happening right now. I have seen several YouTube artists who do tutorials, sharing not only their amazing work, but also giving tips to help other people who want to learn the art. And they're fun, and they're doing amazing work, and they sell their art. And they have links where people can go to buy their art from them, which is really important, as it is with my art. My art is sold on my website or by connecting with me directly, because not all my art is on my website. And my fashions are sold. I have a link to my storefront, and I will put the links in the description below too, just because I really want to make sure that people are aware there are scammers who are stealing these artists' work and either trying to pass it off as their own or creating a digital image to sell. And the artist is not making anything from that. Or they are scamming people by saying they won a free painting. All they had to do was send a certain amount of money to get, the postage or whatever it was they were trying to do. But they're basically impersonating the artists. So if you don't think art is important, why would they be using it as a scam? It is important, and people are drawn to art because it's a communication. And having art in your home is a vibration, and it's very important to select what kind of art you want. Do you want a mass-produced digital creation, or do you want one that actually has the artist's energy and whatever they were inspired to put into that painting? That an original has a tremendous value. And I know some people have said, well, I can't afford originals. But have they even looked? Because I know for sure that I create art at all different price levels so that people can have an original. And it just depends on what they value. And like having it reminds me of the posters we used to get in the teen magazines that you could take out the centerfold and hang it on your wall. That is, that was a trend, and it was part of the culture at the time. But I think it's important to consider. To me, some of these reproductions, I'm not saying that you can't, if the artist is actually selling prints, that's very different than if someone is creating a knockoff. The same with my fashions. If I'm selling my fashions, which are from my art creations, and I've played a part in every step of the way, compared to someone who is trying to duplicate a cheap knockoff made in a factory somewhere where people are getting poverty wages. There's energy transference in that. The clothing you wear carries a memory of all the people involved because we are connected that way through vibration and through energy. So it's important to think about how art is playing a part in your life and what influences you want to bring into your home, your office. You know, you have a lovely office and it's been designed to create a certain feeling. Adding original art to that office space can enhance the vibration, the way the person coming into it is going to feel the energy of that setting. You know, it's the same as plants, having live plants. I know some people say that artificial plants provide the same effect. They may visually, because of the color, but I suspect that people aren't thinking about the benefits that actual plants, the living life force, the air cleaning capabilities, and just the energy itself provides. So all of these things are art. All of these things are forms of communication that we benefit from. And a robot cannot give you that. You cannot talk to a robot, and they may have facial expressions. They may be able to manipulate that. However, it's not a true feeling because it's a robot. It has no life force. Life force comes from the source of all that is. And that's in plants, any living thing, animals, trees, people. So, and we transfer it. We transfer it in the things we make, in the things we design, in the things we listen to, the music that is the background of our lives, the sounds of nature. That's music. We feel it. So I want you to, one, be aware of these scams that people are, if you have to think about it this way. These artists didn't lose, some of the artists definitely where their work is being sold under someone else's name or on another website, that is definitely hurting the artist. But in many cases, it's the person who was scammed was the public who thought they were buying something original, or they thought they were buying, or they were getting a freebie, or they were getting a cheap knockoff. And here's the thing I feel about that. If you are not valuing the artist's work, if you are going for something cheap, you think it looks just as good, it's not going to have the same vibration. And I just think that a lot of these things that are get rich quick, or you won this prize or whatever, if that is your energy, I don't think it's going to work out well. I think it's something that you need to, each of us has to step back and say, is this what I want? Is this the way we get telephone scammers all the time, telling us we won this or that. We won a trip to somewhere because we stayed at this hotel, a hotel we've never stayed at. So, anytime this kind of scam type of energy is around, I think it's important just to pay attention and ask yourself, if you really value a piece of art, don't you want to pay the artist that created it? That's an energy transference. That's a form of communication. That's a flow. That's what currency, the flow. That is a good vibe. That's good karma. When you are compensating a person for their work, whether it's art, music, whether it's cleaning your house, waiting on you in a restaurant, changing your tires on your vehicle for you. All of those things are energy transference, communication, and that's why we're here. That's what I think why we're here, is to experience the human connection, not our relationship to the machine, the robot, the thing that was, going to make our lives easier. And there's a lot of good things about AI. There's a lot of good things about the new technologies coming out that can do things that humans can't do. But there's an awful lot of things that humans are not doing because the robots doing it for them. Like, walking into your house and you can't turn on the lights anymore. You need a computer to do it and set the music and select all these things for you. Where's your interaction with your actual life? You become a dictator to a little robot doing things for you instead of actually engaging in life yourself. And after we stop telling our robots what to do, then what? Then, that is, to me, I will say, that is a symptom of that toxic masculine, patriarchal dominance energy. The same energy that's behind teaching kids to debate, not discuss, to consume rather than to produce something of value, and to consume mindlessly rather than thoughtfully, to focus on comprehension and our ability to discern truth from fiction, lies, spreading gossip that is harmful to people. For why? Why is our news focused so much on other people's lives? Instead, I call it's become the Tattle-Tale Broadcasts. This is something that children would do. You know what? She did this to him and he did that to her, and you can't play with them, or you shouldn't be you shouldn't be their friend if you're going to be my friend. That's what this news shows have become. Who hates this person and why you should hate him too. How juvenile and immature in our evolution. I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt that was talking about, people that small people talk about people. It's one thing to talk about ideas. It's one thing to talk about your community and, oh, isn't that wonderful? Those people work together. That's terrific. And that to me is, you're not talking about people, you're talking about events, things that are happening. But too often you hear someone say something like that and someone else comes in with, oh yeah, but did you hear what she did to, That is not productive. That is really cheap journalism. And I don't even know if they call it journalism. I just call it tattletale news because it's become that nana nana boo boo, as like the children used to say. It's not healthy. And so this is what my main focus today is art important for you to think about? And what kind of art? Because it's everywhere. It is everywhere. From, who designed a roll of toilet paper? Yeah, it's art. It's all art. And my request to you is, if you want to enhance your life, think about the things that you're bringing into your home, your office, and your world. It's all an art form, and it's a matter of which art form you're choosing. And go to the source. Go to the artist. Go to the artist's website. Most artists have websites. Or connect with them on social media directly and say, I saw this piece of art. Is it yours? Or how do I buy your art? Ask them. In the case with my art, I am starting to not put as much of my art online because of these situations. And although I have quite a bit of it on my website for you to look at, it doesn't look the same in the pictures because they're low resolution, and many of them are they're all copyrighted, but many of them are watermarked for that reason. And I know that people can, try to do things in malicious ways. But if you're really interested in a piece of art, or you see something and you're wondering if I have others that are similar, you can arrange for a virtual private viewing, and I will show you several pieces of art, and you can ask me questions about them, that kind of thing. We'll set an appointment, and I'll do it over Zoom. So you can use the contact form on my website, CWCArtandSoul.com. The contact form is on there. And just send me a message that you would like a private virtual. And do sign up for my newsletter, because that's going to be another way for 2023 where I'm going to reveal different things, pieces of art, new things that are happening, and to keep my art in my hands and more control over who it is sent to. And for now, I'm only shipping original art to Canada, and my calendar, the new calendar for 2023, which is not too late to get, is still available, and that will ship to the US and Canada, of course, and my book, which is available as an ebook and a paperback, which ships to the US the ebook, you can download it from anywhere, which is awesome, and the paperback goes to the US or Canada shipping, and my fashions as well, they go to the US or Canada. So there's lots of options, and I'm encouraged by the number of people who actually have spoke out and told the artists about the scams going on. But I wanted you to be aware that it is happening, and that in my case, my art, original art, is sold on my website and through contacting me specifically, and the contact form is on the website. So that's the only way to get it. And I do plan to do perhaps an art show in person in 2023, but for now it'll be virtual, and I'm open to connecting with you and my fashions, of course. So I want you to have a really good new year, and I want you to, explore some of the things I've mentioned. I know this is already plenty long enough for a podcast, and I wasn't planning to talk about all of these things, but I think art is really important, and I don't think robots can create it. They can try to duplicate things, but they cannot create life force. And thankfully, that is something the divine is in charge of. So I really bless you in this new year, 2023, with much health, happiness, prosperity, success in every way, and a lot of joy. And just do your best to stay in your happy place as much as you can. I realize there's a lot of things going on, but we don't all have to participate in every fight that shows up at our door. So try to look for the positives when you can. And that's why I share my art, because I think it has that happy vibration. I know that I'm always surprised and delighted when I'm finished a piece. And I know that from the people, the collectors so far, are loving their art from me. And so thank you so much for joining me and listening and hearing my observations of our world in 2023. Until next time, take care. You can find previous podcasts on the website CWCArtandSoul.com, or on Apple Podcasts, or on the YouTube channel. The guest list and future shows are also listed on the website. Now